Hello, my name is Travis Miller.
Jay Speaks.
Richard Rex.
And I'm Darnell Zook.
All right, here with us is the band director for Yukon, and you guys just came from a parade, right?
Yeah, we have the Oklahoma Czech Festival is always the first Saturday in October, so it's always, for us, Parade and then Mustang, which works out pretty good that we're able to do both. And last year it was a real quick turnaround between Parade and here. This year we had a chance to eat and not eat on the run, and we actually rehearsed a little bit. So we're glad to be here. We're unloading and ready to go at, I think, 3:15 is our prelims time.
I've only been to Czech Fest once. What is actually the reasoning? Like, what is Czech Fest?
I've only been there twice. This is being my second year at Yukon. I know that the town of Yukon was founded by, I believe, Czechoslovakian immigrants. So that culture and heritage has been kept alive, I think, by some of their descendants and just even people who don't live in Yukon who have that as part of their ancestry. So they just call that the Czech Festival, and it's a festival of, there's a lot of traditional dance and costuming and food, and but really, you know, it's kind of like it is in any other town. It's a town festival. It just happens to be centered around Czechoslovakian culture.
Well, that's really cool. We'd like to move on to you guys' show. So what do you think personally about your show? Do you like it the best so far? What's your title?
It is called Rorschach. It's based on Rorschach ink blots that are used as means of psychological diagnosis of, here's this oddly shaped blot, what do you see? And supposedly by interpreting what people see and looking at similar ink blots, they get an idea of their perception, their mental state. So it's gone really well. We have really focused on, at this point, drill and music. And we are done in terms of drill and music. The whole thing's on. Now, a lot of the other stuff that is going to be added in, we have, voiceover, we have a lot of props, and we have backdrops and all that stuff. A lot of that's not in yet. So, visually it makes sense for what we're doing, but it's really not the whole production as it's going to be eventually. So for this point in the season, still fairly early in the season, I'm real happy with where we were at. Last year being my first year at Yukon, we came here this weekend and we had very little show on the field. We had probably under 3 minutes. And to roll in this year with all the drill and music done, I'm really happy with where we're at, and our students are real excited.
Yeah, and that's quite an accomplishment to get that done so ahead of OBA and stuff. That's a huge deal.
Yeah,
that's
we're in really good shape, especially compared to where we were last year. It's just the newness is just difficult for everyone. I had a real clear system of doing pretty much everything that I've developed over the years and that my staff had, and we kind of started instituting that at Yukon, and it's just a big learning curve because it was a lot of things that were a lot different than what they'd done before. So it was nice coming in with the older, more experienced kids really being older and experienced because it's not new to them. Last year, everything was new to everybody, including us as a staff. So kind of really hit the ground running this year, and it feels good to be where we're at.
So have you run into any problems with rehearsal or things that would hinder?
I always say, and I think it's this way for all band directors, I always say, marching band is just a bipolar activity. You leave one rehearsal, it's like, man, we are just, this is awesome. And then, the next day, we're just awful. Everything's awful. Yeah. And it's just the mood swings. And, the truth is in between those two somewhere. Neither one of those is the case at any time. So it's just always it's a stressful time of year, but I'm really excited. I mean, the attitude in our group, the leadership from the older students, they're really now feeling like, wow, we're really starting to get somewhere. And last year it was kind of like we took some steps back to learn a new system. And so, they are really enthusiastic, and our staff is really enthusiastic. And, we're not performance-wise where we're going to be or where we want to be, but nobody is on October 3rd. So being this early in the season, I'm real happy with where we're at. And, my previous job, I was in Piedmont for 16 years, and it's a big adjustment. Yukon's a great place to be, and it's year 2, and I'm not lost anymore, and the students and our staff aren't lost anymore, so we really feel like we're making some progress now.
Good. What are your musical selections this year?
That is a really good question. So I arrange all the music, and I write all the drill, and it is from so many different places. None of the original sources had anything to do with Rorschach or anything like that. I just listen to a lot of music, and I find stuff that I like and that I think goes well with the theme, and then we just arrange it. Sometimes it's choral music, sometimes it's orchestral, sometimes it's regular band. There's a couple composers that I listen to a lot of just regular band music because they do stuff I think that's really effective in the marching band setting. Ryan Main is one guy, Randall Stanridge is another. I listen to a lot of their music, and sometimes use that. So I honestly can't tell you at this point any of the sources because there's so many, and it's been a couple months ago since I arranged.
Yeah.
So
How are you using some of the music to tie into the drill?
it's one of the advantages we have is that everything, the entire production, every note of music, percussion, wind, and all of the drill and all the color guard work and all the choreography is written in-house by our staff. And so, we hand the kids the music at the beginning and we say, this is somewhat like the music you'll perform at OBA at the end of the season. It's going to change a whole bunch. I don't know how, and so as we go through the season, we alter the music in order to make it more effective with the drill. We write the music and then alter the drill to make it more effective going on with the music. So we kind of like to think of both are in play in terms of making it cohesive and make sense. So as it is right now, it's coming together really well. And I feel like we do a good job of highlighting all the different voices within the band where, sometimes the front ensemble is just there and you watch a whole show and you never notice that they're there. Or the woodwinds are, there and the brass is playing all the time and you never notice them. I really feel like we do a good job of getting everything out of the way, and literally every section of the band has some important moments where we get to hear those timbres and they really get to shine. So I'm happy with that.
Great. So are you guys looking forward to like any big competitions, events, concerts, venues, anything?
We're staying in state. And, quite likely next year we'll be traveling. We're not sure whether it's going to be marching band, possibly BOA St. Louis, something like that. Or maybe, wait and travel in the spring with more of a concert festival or something like that. That's still kind of up in the air as we see what the plans are. And also just I'm trying to get a feel for the parents and the students of exactly what they want to do and where they want to go. I feel like our job as teachers is, to give the kids a great education and a great experience, but also get feedback from them of what kind of experience do you want to have. So that's a decision, once the craziness of marching band's over, that we'll kind of sit down with our staff and start make some of those decisions. But this year marching band, we're staying in state. October 31st, OBA is the last day. And, it is nice to be able to not go to Tulsa for a year.
Oh, yeah.
We had.
I think we could all agree
Yeah.
with that one.
With us hosting ours, and of course now we have 3 weekends in a row. We got more. We have Yukon and Mustang, and of course with OBA being in Edmond, it just used to be when I first started teaching. It was every weekend you go to Tulsa, and it's nice to
Last year we went to Tulsa,
a bunch.
What was it?
We went to
3
Tulsa
times?
about 3 times, yeah.
Yeah, we went for Renegade, a game, and we went to Broken Arrow for OBA.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
And I don't have anything against Tulsa. I just think it should be balanced. I think, and we're at the point now. It kind of breaks up into big school and smaller school contests a lot of times, and pretty much every weekend there is a good viable option for larger schools and smaller schools on both sides of the state. So I think that's a good thing. Now the poor guys out in the West, they travel no matter what. So it's a matter of traveling halfway across the state or the whole way across the state. So I guess we shouldn't complain no matter what.
That's
but.
true. I was wondering if you had any. Do you guys have any personal goals or any goals for the band as in general, not as in placements, but just as in
we don't talk about placements in terms of that. So I'm glad you phrased it that way. Our feeling has always been the most important thing is the rehearsal technique, and if we establish a good rehearsal technique and end up performing the best of our ability, eventually the judging stuff will take care of itself. I found it not to be a good way to approach it to say, we need to win this or if you take the actions, the results usually take care of themselves. Our biggest goal for the Yukon band program is just to continue to have the culture of the group be where we want it to be, where the music is terribly important and all the things we do, but when it comes down to it, what people are going to remember is they're going to remember experiences and they're going to remember people. And I feel like that is our number one job and goal as teachers and as leaders of these group of amazing people, is we've got to come together as a group and we got to take care of each other, and we have to, if there's any place in a school system where everybody should be welcome, it should be the band program. And this needs to be a place where we take care of each other, and whatever else you got going on in the rest of your life, awesome, bring it. If you're ready to come with us and be responsible and work hard and do what we do, you are welcome here. And I feel like we're really moving towards, that kind of family atmosphere. I think the best band programs that have been around are truly families, sometimes dysfunctional families, but families nonetheless. And, if that isn't in place, you can have some competitive success, but nothing's valuable unless the people are bought into it. So that's really the number one thing we're working on.
Another good one would be if there's one thing you could tell, your band director wisdom, that all the band directors have their moments.
Uh-oh.
Anything, just a little side note to add to band, to life, to anything and all, to any students, band kids out there, whether it's ours, your kids, on the other side of the state, just any kid listening to this in general, who would it be?
I would say, my experience has been, and I've told a lot of students this over the years, if you want to have a really good time as part of the band program, if you really want to have a good time in this activity, you need to work incredibly hard. A lot of people sometimes think, okay, I love band and therefore I'm going to work hard at it. That's not been what I've seen. I've seen that the kids who come out and put out a tremendous amount of effort and are just on top of things, and they're working at home and they're working at school and they're just giving their best all the time and are really invested in the program and in the family of the band that they're a part of, those are the kids who end up loving this activity. So I say, if you're not happy here, there's a chance you're not working hard enough. Lazy people are often not happy in great band programs.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of kids who've really just redoubled their efforts to suddenly start working hard and being really invested in a program, who suddenly discover they loved it. When formerly, when they weren't being real responsible or really weren't putting in enough effort, they weren't too sure they loved it. So I think it's a wonderful lesson for band students, or kids, adults, anybody. The effort comes first, and then the rewards come afterwards. It doesn't go the other way around.
Well, I wanted to ask you how it was like to host your first time.
It was scary. You guys, first of all, Mr. Edgman and the folks at Mustang were a tremendous amount of help. And so, when we decided to do this this is probably in the winter. Mr. Edgman and I had lunch. I've known him for years, and we just basically went down and said, he gave me a whole list of things that I had to think about that I never thought about before. You can come to band contests for 20 years, and even as a director, and you see some stuff, but there's so many things behind the scenes that you just don't think about. So we really wanted everybody to have a good experience. We wanted our judges that we hired to have a great experience. We wanted the bands that came and the spectators that came to have a good experience. And we wanted the weather to be good, so a lot of people would show up and buy tickets and hot dogs, and we could make some money too. And all of those things happened. I was really happy with it. And more than anything, that you see the Mustang parents out here working do a wonderful job. It takes so many people working simultaneously to make a contest go.
Yeah.
And that required our booster club to do things on a scale that they haven't done in the past. And I was really pleased with what they did, plus all the work that students like you had to do all day long to get ready for and to execute the contest. So it's on again for next year for sure. We've learned a lot of things, little things we're going to do different. But overall, I was real happy, and all the feedback I had was real positive. So,
well, thank you, Mr. Zook. This has been Travis Miller,
Jay Speaks,
Richard Rex.
And Darnell Zook.